Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like those heathen. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And this is a response to two videos. To response to the response. Apostle Tahar was on live, talking about the Bible Defenders video, about how the Bible guru scholars are not the prophets of the Lord. And indeed, they are not. So I'm going to play a portion of the original video that the apostle was responding to, the opening portion of it. And this confusion that these people come with, trying to make, this whole thing about the Arabs being Esau. All right. And and two of the things that they do, they talk, how Esau, married two so-called Arab women, and then and how he married a Canaanite. But see, here's the problem with that. These Bible scholars, they fraudulently make Canaan. They try to make the Canaanites Shemites, and they're not. Canaanites are Hamites. And I actually have a map of biblical history that was put together by scholars, and they have Canaan as a Shemite. And, they did that to protect the false racial propaganda that they push, to try to basically whitewash history. And the truth of the matter is, Canaan is the son of Ham, what you would call Africans today. Remember that curse of Ham? Because they'll talk about how Canaan was cursed, but then they turn around and try to make Canaan a so-called white person. All right, to fit their narrative. When you watch all their movies, there's when they talk about Joshua and the people that the Israelites were fighting when they came into Western Asia, which they fraudulently call the Middle East today. The people ruling over it now are in there controlling the majority of it is Ishmael. This is true, but they weren't the people who were there then. The people that were there were Africans, so-called Africans, very dark Africans, Hametics, sons of Ham, who did not live in Africa with the rest of their brethren. They were actually occupying Canaan, and Canaan is basically in Asia. All right, so when you look at a map, let's bring this map up. Okay, when you look at this map, that's my pointer. When it talks about the sons of Ham are Mizraim, Put, which was Libya, Cush, which are the Ethiopians, right here. All right, Mizraim, which was Egypt. Okay, and they occupied all of Africa. Okay, and then Canaan was in the north of Africa, here, in all this area. Canaan was in this area when the Israelites came into the land. All right, so they were fighting the Hamitic African sons of Ham. So that fact alone already I could stop the video right here. There's really no need to go any further. But let's read about Esau to cut this confusion, because the as you're gonna hear, the guy in the video, this so-called Edomite scholar, is talking about how Esau lived by the sword. All right, and he fails to acknowledge the fact that Alexander of Macedon was an Edomite. And he spread his seed among all the dark people of Europe, of Asia. All right? because everyone in Asia was dark for that most part. He spread his seed among Ishmael. He spread his seed. He spread his seed among Ammon and Moab. He spread. As a matter of fact, all those people that are confederate with him in Psalms 83, he spread his seed among all of them, and mostly against their will in the beginning. Now, these women willfully run to Esau because Esau is in power. That's what women do. They gravitate toward power. They'll betray their own race for power, for the men in power. All right? Including the Israelite woman. All right, but this is Genesis 27. And I'm going to start at verse 34 and read through 41. Then I'm going to play some of these videos. All right, this is Genesis 27:34, and it reads, "And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing. And he said," and you have to understand, this is why Esau Edom hates the Israelites, hates the Negro, Latino, Native Americans so much, and the that are scattered among the heathen that look like the heathen. He hates them so much, all right, because he feels like they got the blessing, all right, that was supposed to be his, but it was never his. The Lord told you in the beginning that it was meant to go to Jacob, and then Esau sold it. So I like to use the analogy before I continue reading, the analogy of the fact that I want you to think that if you got a brand new car, all right, and then you decided that, then you got another car, and you decided, well, you know what, my wife doesn't like this car, it's too big for her, whatever, or this truck, and you decide to sell the car to your brother across the street. Say your brother lives across the street, he owns a house across the street, and he's like, well, you know what, I could use another car, I'll buy the car off you. So you buy this new car that barely, and off your brother, okay? And so now, time goes by, and let's say your new car has to go in for some work or whatever, and all of a sudden an emergency comes up or something comes up, and you need to go somewhere, all right? And you just happen to look across the street and see your old car, which isn't yours anymore. You actually sold it, so it's no longer in your ownership. Your ownership. Remember, Jacob was given the blessing by Esau. He sold it to Jacob for food, for some raw meat, for some half-cooked red bloody meat. All right, and so remember that. All right, so now, this car that no longer belongs to you, you happen to find an old set of keys. You remember there's an old set of keys in the drawer in your office room. All right. So, and you see the car sitting across the street, and you just think, okay, well, I'm gonna, you know what? I'll just run over there and grab the car and run this errand, and then I'll bring it back. Or I'll just go use the car. Well, here's the problem is, you go take that car, you're now stealing. All right. And second of all, the moment you take the car, your brother comes out because he's on his way to work, and now his car is gone because you decided to go run an errand with the car that no longer belongs to you. You stole the car. And that's basically what Esau Edom is, what these scholars don't teach. They don't teach the fact that Edom was never set up to get the blessing, and that Jacob didn't steal it from him. All right. He sold it to Jacob. And when it came time to collect on the blessing, instead of telling his father Isaac that I sold that car to Jacob, he tried to go in there and claim the car and claim the blessing that was no longer his. All right, I have to give it to you in layman terms because Jacob is simple. All right, but it says, "And thy brother came in subtly and have taken away thy blessing." Isaac said that because he didn't know about this deal that was done between Jacob and Esau. And he said, and then he said, is he not rightly named Jacob, which means supplanter, right? Layman terms in the hood, to come up, all right, to catch somebody lacking, all right? "For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright." So he's lying on Jacob at this point. "He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved the blessing for me, And Isaac answered and said unto him, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all thy brethren I have given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do unto thee, my son? So basically, he told him there's nothing you can do. This man is getting the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is already promised to Jacob, and which extended to his seed, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, which happen to be, unfortunately for so-called white people, they're not it. All right, they were born of the wrong son. All right, the 12 tribes of Israel are indeed the Negro, Latino, and Native American, and their scattered brethren that are scattered among the other heathens around the world. All right, that's it. Okay, but it says, and Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. All right, so Isaac, feeling sorry for his son, he said, and so Isaac said, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live. And this was a temporary blessing, all right, which lasted for his first rulership, lasted almost 1,000 years from Rome. Hence the reason why they love Alexander of Macedon. Remember, Alexander of Macedon, when you trace back his biblical roots, he goes back to Esau, Edom. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, got dominion over the world by conquering all of Asia and taking down Japhet and removing the dark-fleshed Negroid type of Japhetic people, the Greeks, Javan, out of their land, and then taking on their nationality and calling themselves Greeks, and later calling themselves Romans. And that kingdom lasted almost 1,000 years until it was brought down by Jacob. The Israelites that were once in captivity under them, who are now in their army and in their government and everything else, and end up taking over. All right, and they ruled for 1,000 years. That was the Dark Ages and the medieval time, which they try to cover up, and there are too many relics and too many evidences to prove that what I'm saying is true. They just choose to have cognitive dissonance when it comes to that fact. All right, and Alexander ruled with the sword through conquering and colonizing. All right, colonizing the whole world, starting in Asia. All right, because remember, when you're looking at Asia here, let's bring that map back up again. Get my pointer. Europe is a concept that they created. Europe is in Asia. All right, there is no separation except for the color that they created between Asia and Europe. This is all one continent. Okay. Matter of fact, that this is a map of Asia. All right, map of Asia. Okay. And as you can see, the so-called Middle East, which is Western Asia, Asia Minor, so-called Turkey, is according to them, but Asia Minor should actually be all of Europe. That's why they say Eurasia. And so they created these lines. The Bible talks about removing lines and borders and marks. So basically, Japhet had all of this, all of Asia for the most part. Okay, and as you can see, there is no physical separation between Europe and Asia. None. Not at all. Okay? There is a physical separation between Asia and Africa, though. Very small, but it's there. Okay? Just to prove that point. So, speaking on colonizing, before we finish this group of scriptures, let's go to these two video shorts here. All right? And this one, let's move this one up. And it says, and this was by Bianca. And let's go to these two. All right. What do Puerto Ricans and Palestinians have in common? Protesters in DT chanted from Puerto Rico. All right. So, Jake is always worried about somebody and not themselves. But let's play this short here.
Stick to. Okay. No, I can do that. Aquí estamos esperando.
Salakia.
Stick to Okay, no, I can do that because see, colonialism operates in similar ways no matter where. The US too has bombed Puerto Ricans. This is how it went. The US invaded Puerto Rico and they were like, this is ours now. In Vieques, for example, they kicked people out of their houses at gunpoint and bulldozed their houses. When Puerto Ricans tried to peacefully march and protest, the US police shot and killed them, including children. When Puerto Ricans tried to organize to advocate for independence, the US surveilled them, spied on them, monitored their every move. When a group of Puerto Ricans decided that the only way out was going to be armed resistance, that they were going to fight their oppressor to free Puerto Rico, the US labeled them terrorists and bombed them. I'm not trying to say that the plight of the Puerto Rican people is equal to the plight of the Palestinian people because we've never had to go through the horrors that Palestinians are going through today. But we can recognize oppression.
But see, she don't know all of her history. See, the Puerto Ricans have thousands of years or not 1,000, but hundreds and hundreds of years, all right? Well over 600 of oppression from Esau, Edom, okay? But here we go.
And abused by a powerful nation when we see it.
So she made that comparison between Puerto Rico and the Palestinians. Now this one.
I want to tell you about how Puerto Ricans have been calling attention to what Israel is doing to Palestinians. So first, as you know, Puerto Rico is a U.S. colony, so in front of the Capitol, you usually have the Puerto Rican and the U.S. flag. Well, a Puerto Rican demonstrator got up there and replaced the U.S. flag for the Palestinian flag. Tito Kayak had already done this and got arrested by Israel when he got up on a watchtower and put up the Palestinian flag. So why would a Puerto Rican do this? Well, Tito Kayak says that when he traveled to meet with Palestinians, he was struck by what he says were abuses that were being committed against the Palestinian people. And he had long been a protester against imperialism in his own country in Puerto Rico. This is him. He was one of the people who climbed the Statue of Liberty more than 20 years ago to place the Puerto Rican and the Vieques flag. Vieques is an island off the coast of Puerto Rico that the U.S. Navy used for bombing practices for more than 60 years.
Damn.
So Puerto Ricans see the parallels between their struggle and the struggle of the Palestinian people. And what I'm about to show you is a chant that took place in D.C.
Puerto Rico to Palestine! Occupation is a crime! Occupation is a crime!
I want to tell you about how Puerto Ricans have been
Okay,
calling
so let's
attention
enough of that, but that's, and when you learn the history, Ishmael actually did a lot of horrible things against Israel as well. All right, but let's go back to Genesis now. All right, and this is Genesis 27:40, and it reads, "And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, and thou shalt break his yoke off his neck," because the Edomites, they got dominion with Alexander. Well, because the Edomites were nobodies and on the bottom and servants to Jacob and everyone else until Alexander. Alexander brought them into power. So it was the first time that the so-called white man got into a position of power in the history of mankind was through Alexander, which is why they uplift him and uphold him so greatly. All right. What they leave out of history is the fact that Alexander is an Edomite. All right. His father, Philip, was an Agagite. All right. King Agag, all right, is a grandson of Amalek. All right. Amalek is a grandson of he was a son of Agag, and Agag is a grandson of Amalek, and Amalek, all right, is a grandson of Esau, Edom, and the chief nation of the so-called white people. And the Amalekites are the Jewish people today. All right. Genesis 27:40. "And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, and thou shalt break his yoke off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing, wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning of my father are at hand, but then will I slay my brother Jacob." And he's been seeking to slay us ever since then. And the scholar's going to relay that truth, that these things were to happen with Esau's and Jacob's descendants, not themselves, which is why that damn Negro woman opening her mouth to those men of IUIC, and they shouldn't have even entertained that woman who was flaunting her tig-old bitties in that barbershop with all those men, with her hair uncovered and her cleavage out, trying to speak biblical things. All right. But let's go to this video now. All right. And let this guy put his foot in his mouth. And remember, Canaan, as a matter of fact, let's read from the Young's Bible Dictionary. Then let this guy speak a little bit. And this is the Young's Bible's Dictionary definition of Ham. All right, let's put that in the camera. You know, I didn't usually when I read a book I like to put it up on the screen, but this was all through the Spirit. So this was I saw the video and the Spirit just said turn on the computer. So here we are. But it's on page 225 of the book I just showed you. You can screenshot it, pause it. The Young's Bible Dictionary. This is the definition of Ham is on page 225. And it reads, a son of Noah and father of Cush, Egypt and Canaan. So the Canaanites were Hamites, so-called black Africans. See further on each of these four, while they all may have been dark-skinned, they were not the forefathers of the Negroid races, but rather the people associated with Egypt. In the north of the continent of Egypt, the Egyptians thought of Canaan as one of their provinces, even into the latter times. Okay, so once again, showing this map of the so-called Middle East, of the land of Canaan, which they call the Middle East fraudulently today. That's where Canaan was. All right, Mizraim, Egypt's brother Canaan, was in the so-called Middle East. Africans, not Egyptians. I mean, not Ishmaelites, like they tried, like this guy's going to falsely claim. So let's let it play.
World carries with them the genes of Esau. In particular, a large segment of the Turkish population is related to Esau. World carries with them the genes of Esau.
He said the Arab world.
In particular, a large segment.
And so does the Israelite world, so does the Hamite, so does the Ammonite, Moabite. Esau put his seed among everybody. That doesn't make them Esau.
Of the Turkish population is related to Esau, as are most Syrians and the Kurdish people of Iraq. We should at least have heard of the Ottoman Empire, which ruled the Middle East for many centuries from about 1300 to just after World War I. The Ottomans were a dominant tribe in the nation of Turkey, and it was these particular Turks who are direct descendants of Esau. And of course,
that's true. We've been telling you that the Turks and the Israelis are brethren, because that tribe, they were all the Khazars, and the one part of the tribe became Muslim, and the other part of the tribe started following Judaism. So the people in the land of Israel and the people in Turkey are literally the same. They're brethren from the same Khazarian tribe, which were Edomites.
And we know from Bible prophecy that the Turks are going to play a primary role in the events of Revelation.
Edom is going to play a dominant role, a very important role.
Enemies of Israel. All comes together, doesn't it?
And then he's leaving out the prophecy that the Edomites would take the land of Israel and proclaim that they are Israel. That's Ezekiel 36:5. All right, or 35:6. Let me get it real quick. Now that I'm saying it, let me make sure I said it right. Ezekiel 35. No, it's 36:5. Yeah. The prophecy in Ezekiel 36:5 tells you that Esau would take the land of Israel and claim that they are the land of Israel and claim that they are the Israelites, not Ishmael. All right? Ishmael wouldn't do that. There's no prophecies that Ishmael would take the Israelites into captivity, that they would rule, colonize the whole world. Those are prophecies about Edom. That's Edom living by their sword. The whole world is not under the vibration of Islam. The majority of the world is the biggest religion in the world is Christianity. And Christians went from country to country, dominating the whole world through colonization, and including America. All right? So this man is a liar. All right? So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Kwame Asharala, Shalom.